Imagine a country sitting on a throne of gold, yet for decades its currency scrambled for stability, tethered to the whims of the US dollar. It's a paradox as old as modern economics, the land of gold, without gold in its own vaults. Imagine waking up to find that the very program designed to save your country's economy has been flagged for losing nearly $250 million in just 9 months. This isn't a story about mining. It's a story about a magic trick in the financial books, where gold bars enter a vault and millions of dollars seemingly vanish into thin air. The IMF has sounded the alarm. The politicians are trading insults, and the average Ghanaian is left asking one simple question. If we have the gold, why are we recording a loss? Welcome to the saga of the Goldbod. To understand the missing millions, we first have to meet the new boss. For decades, Ghana exported its gold almost entirely in raw form, letting foreign refineries skim off the cream. But in the 2020s, the government decided to change the script. Enter the Ghana Gold Board. Think of the Goldbod as the middleman with muscle. Established to replace the role of the PMMC in this specific sector, the Goldbod was given a mandate that sounds simple but is incredibly difficult. Capture the gold before it leaves. Before the Goldbod, small-scale miners, the Galamsey operators, and the licensed small concessions sold their gold to whoever had the cash. Often that meant smugglers or foreign agents paying top dollar. The Goldbod was created to intervene. Their job? Buy that gold for the state. The logic was patriotic. Let's keep our gold in our own vaults. This gave birth to the Gold for Reserve program. The idea was to build a fortress of bullion at the Bank of Ghana to back the cedi. If the cedi started crashing, the bank could point to the gold and say, "Relax, we're good for it." But the Goldbod didn't just want to be a saver. It wanted to be a player. And that is where the trouble began. Now things get a little devastatingly complicated because the government didn't just launch one program. They launched 2. And if you mix them up, you miss the picture. Let's break them down. First, there is gold for oil. Picture this. It's 2022. The cedi is in freefall. Oil prices are skyrocketing. Ghana needs gas, oil, and diesel, but we don't have enough US dollars to pay for it. So the government gets creative. Instead of looking for dollars, they say, "We have gold. You want gold? Let's swap." Under Gold for Oil, the state buys gold in cedis, ships it out, and uses the proceeds specifically to pay for fuel imports. It's a survival mechanism, a barter system for the modern age. Then, there is the Gold for Reserve program. This is different. This is the savings account. Under this program, the Goldbod buys gold from local miners and hands it over to the Bank of Ghana. The bank doesn't sell it to buy oil. It locks it away or sells some on the international market for dollars. It becomes part of the nation's gross international reserves. It sits there, looking pretty and making the country's balance sheet look strong. So why the comparison? Because the Gold for Oil program is like using your paycheck to buy groceries. It's gone, but you're fed. The Gold for Reserve program is like putting cash under your mattress. If you put money under your mattress and check it a year later to find less than you put in, you have a serious problem. And that is exactly what the IMF says just happened. Fast forward to late 2025. The International Monetary Fund, the global financial watchdog that Ghana is currently answering to, releases a report. And in the fine print, there is a number that makes everyone gasp. The report flags a loss of approximately $214 million attributed to the Bank of Ghana's gold operations in the first 9 months of 2025 alone. Political hell breaks loose. The minority in parliament accuses the Goldbod of mismanagement, claiming the loss is due to corruption or incompetence. They ask, how can gold, an asset that has been hitting record high prices globally, generate a loss? The Goldbod CEO, Sammy Gyamfi, fires back. He argues that the Goldbod itself is profitable, making surplus income. He says the loss isn't missing money, but a technical cost on the Bank of Ghana's books. So who is lying? Actually, they might both be telling the truth, but from different ledgers. And the reason lies in a financial trap that the average Ghanaian knows all too well: the exchange rate. This is the most critical part of the story. How do you lose money buying gold? Let's step into the shoes of a Goldbod agent in Tarkwa. You are standing in front of a small-scale miner. He has a bar of gold. You want to buy it, but you aren't the only buyer. There is a foreign agent standing next to you, and he is offering to pay the miner using the black market dollar rate. Let's say the street rate is 14 cedis to $1. The miner wants that rate. If you offer him the official bank rate of 11 cedis, he will laugh at you and sell to the foreigner. So to capture the gold, the Goldbod must pay the miner close to the street price. They pay the higher CD amount to secure the precious metal. Now, follow the gold. The Goldbod takes that expensive gold and hands it to the Bank of Ghana. The Bank of Ghana puts it in the vault. But here is the catch. The Bank of Ghana is the central bank. By law and accounting standards, they often record their assets at the official exchange rate. Do you see the gap? They paid street price high for the gold, but recorded it on the books at official price low. If you spend 14 cedis to buy something, but your accountant writes down that it's only worth 11 cedis because that's the official rate, you have instantly created a loss of 3 cedis on paper. Multiply that by thousands of kilograms of gold, and you get a $214 million hole in the books. The IMF calls this a subsidy. They argue that the government is essentially overpaying miners to prevent the gold from being smuggled. The government argues this isn't a loss in the traditional sense. It's the cost of doing business. They say if they didn't pay the higher price, the gold would leave the country illegally, and the Bank of Ghana would have zero gold in its reserves. They are paying a premium to keep the wealth at home. But to the taxpayer, that premium looks exactly like money flushed down the drain. Then, there are the operational and service fees. Running a gold aggregation scheme isn't free. You need armored trucks, security, assayers to test the gold quality, and staff. The Bank of Ghana pays Goldbod fees, roughly 0.5% for services and additional fees for assaying. These are necessary operating costs, like paying the electricity bill for a factory. The IMF records these expenses as negative figures on the balance sheet, contributing to the total loss. We have exchange rate differentials. The Bank of Ghana buys the gold in cedis, but gold is valued globally, in dollars. If the CD depreciates between the moment the contract is signed and the moment the gold is formally booked into reserves, the numbers shift. You might spend 10,000 cedis thinking it's worth $1,000, but by the time the transaction settles, it's only worth $950 on the books. The gold is the same weight, but the currency fluctuation creates an accounting loss. Finally, there is the international off-taker discount. When the Bank of Ghana wants to trade this gold or upgrade it to monetary gold status, the highest purity standard, they deal with international refineries. These refineries charge a discount to process the door gold. Again, this is a standard industry cost, but it appears as a reduction in value compared to the spot price paid to the local miner. So was the money stolen? Likely not in the way you might think. Was it wasted? That depends on your perspective. If you believe that building up gold reserves is worth any price to secure the CD's future, then this $214 million is just an expensive insurance premium. It's the price we pay for having a dual exchange rate system, one for the banks and one for the streets. As we head into 2026, the Goldbod claims they will take full control of the trading program, promising to clear up these bookkeeping issues. But until the gap between the CD in your pocket and the dollar on the screen closes, the Goldbod will remain trapped in this golden cage. For now, the gold is in the vault, but the cost of putting it there might just be too high for the average Ghanaian to pay. So when you see loss in the headlines, don't think of it as money down the drain. Think of it as startup capital. Every business knows you have to spend money to acquire a customer. In this case, the customer is the gold itself. We are paying a premium to divert gold from illegal channels into the national vaults. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it necessary? Absolutely. For the first time in history, Ghana is actively building a buffer that belongs to us. We are taking the hits, the spreads, the fees, the discounts, so that 10 years from now, our children's currency isn't just a piece of paper, but a promise backed by the very earth we walk on. The Gold for Reserves program is not a scandal. It's an ambitious, aggressive attempt to rewrite Ghana's economic destiny. And like all great ambitions, it comes with a price tag. So the next time someone mentions the loss at the Goldbod, you tell them, it's not a loss. It's the cost of bringing our gold home. If you found value in this breakdown, hit that like button. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on business, finance, and global politics, make sure you subscribe to the state's media and turn on that notification bell. We've got deep dives coming up that you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.